This is the iPhone 13 Pro. It is the best smartphone Apple has released in all of its 13 years since they created the smartphone market. But I still would not recommend it to anyone out there. Why, you ask? I used this device as my primary phone for the last month, and I would have to lie if I'd say I did not enjoy actually using it. I did. Apple added some great new features that are all in all a blast to use. So why wouldn't I recommend it then? Does it still suck? Is there a major flaw? Is the iPhone a bad, no, the worst smartphone? No, not at all. Apple actually made drastic improvements in 3 major categories this year. There are some huge changes made to the screen, introducing ProMotion and the first 120 Hertz display. A very big improvement to the overall battery life through a size increase, as well as an improved and even more efficient A15 Bionic chip. And finally, the iPhone 13 Pro has the overall best camera, especially for shooting video with a smartphone, that I personally have ever seen. Let's get into more details with the first one, the all-new screen. Well, almost new. The notch is still there. It is a story in itself, and it should not be something holding you off from buying a new phone. The ProMotion 120 Hz display that has finally been implemented, especially for people like me who have already experienced something like this in their daily lives with high refresh monitors. Using iOS with a higher refresh rate feels buttery smooth and is a welcome new addition that makes the 13 Pro feel even faster than it already is. But I only noticed the changes after reverting back to an older phone, in this case the iPhone SE 2nd generation, which suddenly felt very slow and old, while directly comparing iOS versions side by side. I had to get used to the new smoothness before actually missing it. And showing the new display to other people, 8 out of 10, I actually did 8 out of 10, who did not know that this is a high refresh rate screen, could not notice any difference between a 60 Hz and a 120 Hz display. Overall, this is an upgrade that slowly creeps into your life, but benefits mostly power users and people that regularly game on their smartphone. Also this year, the display has gotten noticeably brighter and is now usable outdoors without much problems. While filming some scenes with the new ProRes feature, I was able to clearly see everything happening on the screen with direct sunlight coming in. And given that the new screen should actually reduce battery life due to its 120 Hz and raised peak brightness, I'm actually very much surprised that the battery life has increased significantly compared to my 2nd generation iPhone. I regularly end the day of using it on and off with roughly 60% battery life remaining, and then I just don't recharge it at all, since I'm confident in using it for 2 days on a single charge. That is, at least in my experience with iPhones over the last 6 generations or so, unheard of. In the last 10 days of usage, I only gotten it close to 20% of battery life remaining 3 times, so very heavy usage in the evening watching 3 hours of live streaming content or gaming. And mind you, this was actually on a 2-day charging cycle. The reason why the battery has become so much better than its predecessors can be narrowed down to 2 major factors. They increased the battery size, and so the phone itself has gotten slightly bigger and heavier. And to phrase this correctly, the new iPhone 13 Pro, well, it is massive, in size and in weight. It's, well, heavy. This comes down to Apple adding in a bigger battery This comes down to Apple adding in a bigger battery with 4,352 milliampere hours. And the new A15 chip, which is 60% faster than its predecessor, the A14 chip, and so much more efficient at the same time. I'm pretty sure some of you are after more performance in your smartphone, but I'm always looking for more battery life over anything else. And to say the new 13 Pro has enough battery life for 2 days is a step in the right direction of seeing more efficient phones in the future. Speaking of the future, the third major change that happened is with the cameras. At first glance, yeah, it's still a 3-camera layout, but when comparing it with any other phone, these lenses have become huge. The bump in camera bump is now a well-deserved name. Unsurprisingly, the photos coming from all 3 lenses look fantastic. Most of the foreground and backgrounds are well balanced, and HDR photos look vibrant on the screen. Portrait mode is still, well, portrait mode. It does an okay job in cutting out people from the background. We are still, in my opinion, a couple of iterations away from it being indistinguishable from real cameras. What the 13 Pro does well is coping with skin tones and creating realistic colors akin to what you see with your own eyes. I honestly can say that the photos aren't, well, disappointing to me in any way. What I don't like, and yeah, I get why they still have it, is the front-facing 12-megapixel selfie camera, as well as the notch. I'd love to see this being removed, or at least iterated into something more useful. Right now, it's a major step down in quality compared to the better lenses on the back. Now let's come to the thing I like the most about the new 13 Pro models. Shooting video with them. The iPhones were always good in taking some quick videos, but this year Apple outdid themselves. I have no problems in actually taking the 13 Pro out to a shoot and creating some content with it, especially since ProRes has been added to its lineup. And for all of you who don't know, ProRes is a de facto standard codec when it comes to professional videos. It is a good mix of file size and compression quality, even though in terms of phone space this means 1 minute of 4K ProRes 422 HQ uses 5 GB of hard drive space. So I roughly have 30 minutes of recording time on my device until it's completely full. But the leap in quality as a filmmaker is actually worth the trade-off. As said in the beginning, even though there are some major changes made by Apple, I wouldn't recommend this to everyone out there. If you already own the 11 or 12 series of the phone, then the improvements aren't that noticeable or significant, and waiting for the next version would be a better option. If you are coming from a single-digit iPhone, then a recommendation is an easier thing to do. There are enough upgrades and changes made that it warrants a new phone purchase. Since this is a rented device in my case, for testing and reviewing purposes, I decided to not stick with the 13 Pro due to it being too big, too heavy, as well as more money than I'm willing to spend on a phone. I personally prefer smaller and lighter phones anyways, so I will take a look at the 13 mini and see if this fits my needs and wants more than the Pro. If you want to stay up to date with this kind of videos and more on filmmaking and tech, then subscribe to this channel. My name was Leech and I'm off writing the next script. Have a great day and see you around. Goodbye.